Yo, and welcome to episode 25 of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And today we're continuing on with our live from IA interviews that we did with a couple guys. Today is Adam Hopkins. Have you ever heard of Adam before this?
Yeah. Back in the day, I remember him like being like a tuning guy.
Yeah. And
pretty much all my friends that had Hondas were like tuned by this guy. And this was like back in like 2008 probably. So like that's pretty much where I heard of him. I've never really met him before in real life, I guess you could say, but he was always one of those like, I don't know, dudes you see on the internet.
Internet dudes, yeah. So he kind of talks about his past in tuning in Hondas and circling back to kind of those roots, which is pretty cool. So you never had like a cartoon by him or anything?
No, he was big in the Hondas back in the day, and I always had 240s and
240s,
stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, for like the group of friends I was with, the big thing was like whatever he did to tune it with, it gave the cars like a full throttle launch.
Wow.
So it's like, like a two-step.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, so all my friends were like dickheads about it and just did that every time they stopped, dude. Yeah. And like every time they took off, they were doing that. So yeah, I remember that was like always on everyone's list is to get the tune with Adam Hopkins because like he'll give you the full throttle launch.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a pretty cool guy. Like I spent quite a bit of time sitting at the booth at Import Alliance just chopping it up with him.
Yeah.
And he for sure has like a unique insight and ability on kind of sourcing good deals. He's like a good deal finder. Some people are just good at that.
Right, for sure.
He's definitely, from what I've gathered, one of those guys. And has a lot of other cool hobbies like whitewater kayaking and hiking through the Grand Canyon. Seriously, my neck hurt from turning it, looking at him, talking to him for so long. He is a really interesting guy. So you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's start it.
All right, cool. So this is Adam Hopkins in his 1989 Nissan Skyline R32 GTST. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Right Hand Drive Guys. Today we have Adam Hopkins. What's up, Adam?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Pretty good, man. So Adam's out here at Import Alliance, and he is actually in our booth out here. We're live, and he's got his beautiful 89 GTST with all kinds of stuff done to it. Why don't you give us a little rundown?
Man, my buddy owned the car, Squirt. Shout out to Squirt.
Oh, this is a Squirt car?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. That's dope.
So Squirt had that car for a long time, and like it's a joke every time I go there. Like, hey man, when are you gonna sell me that Skyline? When you gonna sell me that Skyline? And I bought a Gixxer 1000 because I like motorcycles too. And like 2 days after I bought that motorcycle, Squirt hits me up and was like, hey man, I got the cheapest GTST in the nation for sale. If you want it, come get it.
Damn, that's a homie hookup.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, just let me get my motorcycle sold. And then I'll have the cash to come get that car from you. And then did not look like it does now. It's been a full respray and engine out, engine bay, door jams, trunk. Everything.
So this is an Adam Hopkins car now.
Yeah.
This ain't even a Squirt car no more.
No.
Okay, all right, that's dope. So that motor though, when you opened that hood, that I was like, oh shoot, what do you got going on there? Because that's not original.
I had the RB20. I ended up putting like a GT30R on the RB20, and the thing ripped, man. It was a fun little car. I'm guessing 300 horsepower.
Spunky.
Yeah. A fun car, and second gear was useless. Just a fun little ripper. And then I got to where I was going to paint it, and so I figured, hey man, I got the engine and everything out of it anyway, so let me upgrade the stuff while I'm in here. I'm the Facebook bandit, and I scoured Facebook Marketplace, and then found a guy that had a Neo engine completely torn apart. And he think he wanted $1,500 for it.
Oh my gosh!
So I went over there, dude, and when I tell you, like every bolt was out of the engine,
so it was work.
Yeah. The cam caps were all mixed mashed on the rods. Like,
oh no!
It was just literally 2 5-gallon buckets full of bolts and parts, and then like the block and the head.
You saved it.
Well, yeah, and then I just told him, I was like, bro, I don't know what's missing or how much it's going to take to get this car, the engine back to where it can perform the way it is. And, you know, if you're looking for OEM hardware, trying to get stuff back right, it will nickel and dime you to death. So I told the guy, I was like, hey, man, I'll give you $800 for the parts you got here.
Oh, my gosh.
I gave him $800. I went home. I kid you not, there was one bolt missing out of all the.
That's it?
Yeah. Like
he did pretty good
Yeah,
then.
like, because I took all the parts, laid them out on the floor of my shop, laid all the hardware with it, you know, built the engine, essentially laid out on the floor saying, okay, everything's here. I ended up leaving the everything looked good on the engine. I put new bearings.
So the block was all good?
I just ball honed it.
Oh, wow.
You know, put piston rings in it, put it together, and, you know, new bearings. The head has Kelford, the Type B cams. I don't know the specs on it by heart, but
yeah, it's
the biggest cams that Kelford offers for that engine without ordering custom cams.
So probably down low idles a little.
Yep. And
I could kind of tell when you pulled in. I'm like, okay, that thing's got something in it.
Yeah, it's runs good. It so what happened? I got the motor running, and then this is a FYI for anyone that has an RB engine out there. Replace your timing belt tensioner and your tensioner bolts with ARP upgrades. A dude on eBay sells them. It's like $70 or something for the bolts. What happened? I had the car running, finally got it ripping the way I wanted to, and the timing belt, the one that holds the tensioner, broke in the block and destroyed the head.
Oh.
So that's when I tore it all apart, and that's when I put the Kelford cams in there. I poured and polished the head, put stainless steel valves in there. I got Ferrera valves, titanium retainers, valve springs,
Dang.
Kelford cams.
So she's set.
Yeah,
she's ready.
On a Dyno Dynamics on 14 pounds, we got 414 horsepower, which is that's a heartbreaker dyno.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty healthy engine. We ended up we're blowing out spark because the stock coil packs were crap on the dyno.
Wow.
Once we put E85 in there and then started turning the boost up, the coils couldn't do it.
Couldn't keep up.
Yeah, so I ended up buying the PRP, the R35 coil kit, and luckily it fits all underneath that the valve.
Yeah,
cover
you're
assembly.
lucky. Yeah, I got them, and it wouldn't fit under my RB26 cover. So now I got the naked top end. But yeah, and that would have been a shame because that valve cover set that you have there is actually something to be had, right? It's not regular.
Yeah, it's if I'm not mistaken, so forgive me, I think it's coming on the R31 Skylines.
Oh yeah, that's the originals.
Yeah, and then it had the fin, they call them the fin valve covers, and some dude had it listed for the wrong car on eBay. I ended up getting them super cheap.
Dang, what a come up, huh?
Dude, I just scavenge the internet and I find deals and find connections and cool people, and without the community out there, I wouldn't have the car that I have. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, which is beautiful, right? To be able to find all these things, like when you were talking about the wheels and how you source those out of Maryland, and what was it, your brother-in-law picked them up for you?
Yeah, he drove. He was stationed near where the wheels were. It was like a 30-minute drive for him, and he picked them up and brought them back to me in Tennessee when he came home for Christmas. So
and those are LM GT4s, right?
Yeah, the bronze ones. I got the center caps. Like they're the
and those they didn't reproduce the center caps. I know. So if you missing one, like 3D printing it or something weird,
yeah, and it's hard to get that anodized finished to make it look correct.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so your valve cover and strut tower bar, those are the same color, right? Like a different shade?
Yep. I tried to match the wheels as close as I could with powder coat. Mm-hmm. And that's the closest color they had. I ended up putting it's an old logo Nismo strut bar, and then
that thing's nice.
And then I got the old school Vilside oil cap.
Yeah, that turbo. Yeah, that is, and you'll see those going online, and that's another story, right? You found a guy that just didn't know what he had.
Yeah, just messaged some dude on eBay, on Facebook Marketplace, and he was stationed in Italy, and he ended up. We just chatted back and forth online. He was like, "Dude, I'll let you have it for $160."
Oh my Lord!
He put it in a box and shipped it to me. So.
Those are very sought after.
It's just cool little knick-knack parts, and I tried to build the car with parts that would have been dope as shit to have on the car in the 90s.
Right. And I mean, for the most part, in Japan, that it's pretty true to style. I mean, and we'll have some pictures and video of the car for you to look at. But I mean, this car has complete confetti interior, and if you're a Nissan guy whatsoever, you know how hard it is to find all of those pieces, and this guy has them.
Yeah, it's again, the seats came from a dude in Malaysia.
Oh my gosh! So this car really has parts from just all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world. And once you find some part your heart falls in love with that you got to have on your car, you'll scour the corners of the internet to get it.
It's so true. Yeah,
So,
and some of these parts, like you're saying, the LMGT4s, the Veal side, oil cap, those are things that you really can't get now.
Yeah.
You really can't get them, and if you see them, somebody's already scooped them up. So congrats to you on even being able to source those.
it's just scouring Facebook and looking at old posts, and I'm not scared to message a 5-year-old post and be like, "Hey, bro, do you still got this part?"
Has it worked out?
Absolutely, dude. I got
That's
parts.
crazy.
I got parts from my NSX that showed up this week from a dude that had something that he listed, years ago,
And just never sold. And
never sold it, and then
whatever.
they never tried again, and then you just message folks online, and hopefully they got what you need sitting in their garage, and they're happy to get rid of it, and I'm happy to have it. So
That is cool because I've seen old posts of items that I wanted, and I didn't take that same route. I was like, "There's no way he's got this,
dude.
And I could have passed something up."
Dude, my mom told me a long time ago, and it's helped me through this life. Is like the answer is always no if you don't ask. So
That's true. Yeah. I mean, and so as we sit here on the paddock at Import Alliance, everybody's just literally circling this guy's car. So that just tells you the quality of it. I mean, I'm just looking at myself in the paint right now. And that's new too, right? You've gone through this thing.
Yeah, I did. Every bolt. The only thing I haven't done, which I have all the stuff to do it, I just don't have the time. That's what I lack.
Yeah.
I didn't pull all the suspension off and powder coat everything.
Yeah.
But that's the next thing. I got the I think it's G-Tech, like chassis braces for welding all the subframe and all that stuff.
Yep.
The car runs and drives, and it's hard for me to tear it down and spend a month.
You can't drive it.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, my Aaron, the other guy who's usually on the podcast that has the 4-door I was talking about, he this past winter actually did what you're talking about. He took the subframe out. He welded in all the GK Tech braces, repowder coated it. It looks so amazing. So I can only imagine once you get to this that it'll look great.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it really lacks is just a little freshening up underneath. But the car's overall pretty solid, man.
And so what color would you do that suspension work if you're
I'd just put gloss black.
Black?
Yeah,
I think that would look awesome.
Yeah, and just black everything out.
So, I mean, the car is obviously amazing. We've already established that. But what's Adam doing next?
Oh, man. I have too many projects. I got a 1973 Datsun 240Z that I've been restoring for the past, I want to say, decade.
Yeah, that's a classic, though.
And it's been, no expense spared, like full rotisserie. I've done all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I sandblasted myself every inch of that car. I've sanded on every inch of that car. It's been painted. It's in the process of getting put back together. I got a carbon signal wide body kit for it.
Whew.
Some custom Watanabe, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
Wheels built by Love 20B. So they're 17 by 13 and a half in the rear, and then 17 and 11 and a half in the front.
Ooh, that's gonna be nice. I can picture that. What color are those?
The faces are gray and the lips are polished.
Ooh.
The car it's called Blew Me Away Blue. It's a GM color. It's on a bunch of different cars, but man, I saw cars at car shows. I knew I wanted the car to be blue because the car was originally blue, and so I saw several cars. I saw it at a car show one time, and I said, "Hey, man, what color is your car?" It was this color. The W388A is the paint code. And then I ended up going to another car show, saw another blue that I liked. I said, "Hey, bro, what's the color of this paint code?" W388A. It's the same exact color. I was at a body shop looking at a car that somebody was painting and said, "Hey, what's this paint code?" W388A.
It was speaking to you.
That's my color, man.
I
I've picked it out 3 times. That's my color. So
that's cool. That's sweet because a lot of what you're saying, there's a story behind a lot of what you do. It's not for nothing, so to speak. Like you have intention behind a lot of what you're doing, which I'm not going to say is rare these days, but it's very easy for somebody to just throw something together for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's cool to meet people that are really actually putting thought into what they're doing and having purpose, which that's dope. It clearly shows, man.
Well, I'm building that Datsun, and originally I built it to just have a track car I could beat the crap out of, but man, I've made it too nice, and I'm going to be.
Yeah.
It's again, it's carbon signal wide body kit on it. I got a 6-liter fully forged LS with a LS3.
Oh, for it?
Yeah, for it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
TVS 2300 blower. Brand new
she's
trim
mean.
in Q56. Like, it should be a 700 horsepower car all day.
It'll need those 13-inch wide wheels in the rear.
It has every piece that T3 offers for that vehicle.
Oh,
so,
wow.
it's all the suspension, the R230 rear and differential upgrade. Like, it's,
So you don't play around. When you do a project, it's done right, or it just doesn't get done. Right?
Yeah, and that's the problem with the car is that it doesn't get done. And, man, I've in 10 years since when I bought the Datsun, I had to ask my girlfriend at the time. She's my wife now, but I was, we were serious enough to where if I'm going to buy something, I got to talk to her about it.
Right.
And I was like, can I go buy this Datsun? It was $300, and $300 at the time was a lot of money to me.
Yep.
And I've been building this Datsun, and I care so much about it and have so much time and love into it that like the budget keeps changing because my lifestyle's changed, my incomes went up.
Right.
And so some of the parts that I was originally going to put in there didn't make the car, and I sold them. But like when I finish that car, it will be super nice.
It'll be the best Datsun you've seen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shout out to Sean. He's that LSZ guy. He's on Instagram. You should look him. It's DATLSZ guy. He has a carbon signal kit, and I actually became friends with him just because I bug people on the internet, like I was telling you.
Yeah.
And he had that carbon signal wide body kit on his Datsun, so I wanted tips and pointers on how to, how do I get this kit installed? Because I'm so picky and OCD about my paint and body work that it took me a year to get that kit fitting the way that I wanted to fit on that car. A lot of trimming, a lot of cutting, a lot of nut certs, a lot of love.
Yeah.
But it's nice now.
Small changes.
But yeah, he's a good friend. He lives in Houston. He showed up to my house one day just because we're internet strangers, and he was in the area. He was like, dude, let me come meet you face to face.
Yeah, the internet certainly has changed how everyone, but car people communicate and do business, which is really cool because without the internet, I mean, you wouldn't have found that guy.
No.
Yeah.
And it's just cool that you have people out there that have this skill sets to build the quality of cars that guy that Sean has built, and then he's willing to share that knowledge with you to help you pursue the build that you're shooting for. You know what I mean?
Right, and in turn now you're putting together quality like he does, maybe not at the same rate or whatever, but all in all, now you stepped your quality level up because of him, which is sweet.
You're only as good as the information you have and the people you surround yourself with, and you know what I mean? He's super good guy. So, Sean, I do appreciate you. Sorry for all my questions.
No, but that's cool. That's what makes us car guys, right, is that willingness to kind of share, I mean, you get the guys who are maybe a little stingy, they don't understand yet, but I feel like for the most part, the love of the cars goes beyond the ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. So real quick before we wrap this up, I know you got a 91 NSX. I heard you talk about it.
Yeah, that's another project I got.
You can't hide it, man.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It's got a Love Fab turbo kit on it. I bought the car. It was a total disaster. Just like
there's a trend here.
Yeah. It appears that some shop that spells custom with a K and a Z worked on the car back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just a basket case, non OEM carpet. It had carpet on some of the interior pieces and like the crappy carbon fiber trim all over everything, and no maintenance vehicle history on the car. But I'm respraying the bumpers. I've got the interior looking good on it. I've got every piece to do the maintenance on the car in my shop. I just got to have the time to drop the engine.
Get it all.
Yep. And then the last car I got I'm messing with right now is a 93 Mazda RX-7 FD.
Ooh, is it USDM?
Yeah, USDM.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Was it touring or what was it?
I don't even know enough about it to tell you the honest answer that correctly.
Yeah, it was at factory turbo?
Yeah, factory.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you're in good shape.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where, the dude, again, Facebook banned it. The dude posted the car. It was like 7 minutes after he posted the car. I'm like, hey, bro, what's up? And he ended up, he lived in Alabama, so it's a little bit of drive for me, but I picked up an FD with an engine and a transmission, and the dude looked me in the eye and said, hey, if you bolt this stuff together and plug everything up, the car will run. And I said, okay. And I paid him $7,500 for this car.
Oh my gosh.
And and it's not, again, it needs paint, it needs
right,
love.
Of course.
But I did. I bolted everything together. The car freaking ripped. And then once I tore it apart, now I've got into like zinc plating all my hardware to make my stuff look good.
Yeah.
So I tore the whole engine apart, powder coated everything, zinc coated everything, sprayed the engine bay, and I'm about to put the engine transmission back in the car. But like when I tore all that stuff off to clean it, you could see where somebody had ported the hell out of this motor that's in the car.
So it had motor work.
Yeah, and it had an aftermarket ECU in it. Like it had what is that little thing called? I ended up buying a Link. That's what I have on the Skyline is a Link ECU. I have a Link for the RX-7.
Okay.
I'm converting it to drive-by-wire. So that gives me
okay.
cruise control options. It gives me idle control much better than what an IACV is going to do.
Wow. So wow, man. So from what I've gathered, is that you do stuff right.
Man, I don't, dude. I do that.
I mean,
I'm an idiot, dude. I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
But I mean, it seems to be working because not only do you have a beautiful car sitting in front of us, you have many projects that, of course, at your own rate, once you're done with, these are like you're gonna have like kind of a dream garage in your own
dude,
right.
I tell myself all the time, it's like I'm lucky to have the life I live. I work really hard for what I do for a living. I'm able to provide for my family. I'm thankful for everything I have. But man, like I literally have like my my Gran Turismo playlist in my garage. You know what I mean? It's like the cars that I love, that I always, never thought that I'd be able to own, and I have them. I have them in my shop. The last one I'm missing, and it's probably my least favorite out of all of them, is a Supra.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a Supra, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
It just didn't tick the same boxes that an NSX does for me.
Right.
That makes sense.
Oh, for sure. I hear you. I've always been a big Honda guy, so when you said NSX, I perked right up like, oh, really? What you got?
Yeah.
And so this is a reoccurring theme that I found in all of, this communication that I've done with import car guys is Gran Turismo really set us all up for this. Everybody says what you just said. I have or am working towards my garage that I had in Gran Turismo. I feel like we were really lucky maybe to be at our age we were when that dropped and to have really taken that in and now realizing it, it's crazy.
I mean, I think that's why, we like, our generation likes the import cars the way that we do is because of Gran Turismo and Forza and all those video games.
Yeah, I agree.
Just like EDM music, man. I listen to, I played video games with a repetitive electronic music.
So true.
You know what I mean? And like,
on loop, yeah.
And like that's the, I like EDM music. So it's just, it's what I was exposed to as a kid. And, I have found that I like working on cars more than I actually like having a finished car. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the
hunt of the parts.
Process, and I agree.
Finishing at something, saying, "Man, that looks clean," or "Man, I did a good job with that," or
Yeah,
I'm really
but then
happy.
you're like, "So what's next?" And you're like, "But this is kind of done. What do I do?"
Yeah.
And then Adam has 3 other cars he needs to finish. I mean, which is where it's at, right? I mean, I'm in the same situation in that sense. Is you check one off and you just move on to the next, right? Because otherwise, you're kind of bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what? You're going to get in trouble or something. So might as well just buy another car. And, man, I'm going to hit you up next time because it seems that you know how to get the deals.
Man, I just scour Facebook Marketplace, dude. And, like, you go to different areas to set up reminders or keywords and searches. So you're going to stand a much better chance finding an NSX from somebody in Miami than you are in Nashville, Tennessee.
Right.
And so, like, if you want to go put a reminder in California for whatever car you're looking for, as soon as something hits Facebook Marketplace, you get a reminder on your phone, and that's how you find the deals.
Oh, I see. So you're getting it's beeping on your phone, and you're like, and you're hitting them.
Just listed. Yeah, this item just listed.
That's sweet.
And, like,
everybody listen up because this man's giving you the key right here.
Yeah, dude. You set your searches up for Nismo, set your searches up for Datsun, set your searches up for
and then
NSX.
get those notifications.
Yeah, because, I mean, dude, there is people out there that have things that they have no idea the true value of. You know what I mean?
Which is wild.
Well, yeah,
because to a guy like you or me, right, these LMGT4s, high value, right?
Yes.
Like they are a very unique and rare part. To the guy that had them, maybe they're just a set of wheels that say Nismo on them.
Yeah. They may have came on some roller beater car that he has
True.
no idea what he's really got.
Because do you know what these LMGT4s came on stock? Were they the...
I don't know. I know the owner before me had them on a 300ZX.
Yep.
And so just tip out there, the GTST wheel fitment on the LMGT4s is the same as a 300ZX.
Wow. So that was a good deal. Good score.
So it fit. Like, these won't fit the way it would on a true GTR.
I see. Okay.
So.
Wow. Yeah. What do you know... Are they a little bit different offset front and rear?
Yes, they're different offsets. I can't tell you by chance.
But I can tell.
Yeah.
They're a little different.
Yeah, if you look online, you can find the specs.
Yeah, and are those 17s or 18s?
They're 18s.
Nice. Yeah, those are beautiful.
Thank you.
This is a really good experience, Adam. I appreciate you coming through. I definitely appreciate you getting in the booth. Shout out to Squirk for hooking that up. Now I see why.
Yeah.
now I get it.
Yeah.
It was a Squirk car, man.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. It was a pleasure to meet you. And what do you have an Instagram?
Yeah, it's ECU Adam. So ECU Adam.
ECU Adam.
That comes from, I used to do the I was a tuning guy back
Oh,
in the day.
okay.
So I used to tune Hondas, like, to get myself through college. And
Chrome and stuff.
Chrome was like what I started off with. I ended up doing, I did not do Hondata, and I do not do Hondata because Hondata sued one of my friends. So if you support Hondata, you are not doing a cool thing.
Ooh,
so,
yikes.
yeah. Dave Blundell was like, he started the pgmfi.org.
Yep.
So this is like way back in the day before anybody knew what Chrome or chip and ECU was. This guy set up the foundation for what Chrome and everything else was built off of.
Ah, I see.
And what happened is somebody posted a patch to K-Pro on his forum, and he didn't take it down soon enough, and Honda sued him, so I just won't support their products.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ended up going EC Tune is what I tuned. I don't know if you remember that software.
Yep.
Calvin made that software. I was like one of the first dealers tuning EC Tune back in the day, and that's just my love come from Hondas. I just got past them when I quit messing with Civics and stuff, but I'm back with my NSX.
Yeah, and I hear you too. It was kind of the same thing. I had a few EK9 Civic Type Rs and EG6 SIR, and then I kind of felt like maybe I outgrew those and moved on to Nissan.
Yep.
But now I'm feeling like I should have never outgrown those and just stuck with them both. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Same thing.
Dude, if you don't think that I love a EF fucking Civic.
I mean, that's such a classic. And maybe when we were younger, it was like, oh, that's old, right? Because we, but now it's like, oh my gosh, where can you even find one of those? Yeah. Set your Facebook notifications for EF Hatch.
Yeah. If I bring another car home, it's going to be a Supra because my wife will kill me over a Civic.
Yeah. All right, Adam, we appreciate it 100%, man. Good luck. And if you're on Instagram, follow ECU Adam. Until next time, man, it was good to meet you.
You too, man. Thank you.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
So that was Adam Hopkins, AKA ECU Adam. So that sounded kind of like what you had heard, right? With the Hondas and tuning, and that's how he kind of got his tuning thing.
Yeah, for sure. That falls right in line, man. And really, I haven't really kept up with him since back in the day. So it's cool to see how he's progressed and moved on to other things, and doing Nissans and has a pretty sick Skyline.
And apparently he's doing
nice.
Nissans, Hondas, Mazdas.
Right.
He's
everything.
really doing it,
Yeah.
So it was really cool for him to just throw out for some people, maybe, the Facebook Marketplace stuff is simple, but for other people listening, he threw out a little bit of game there as far as getting alerts on some of these parts.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty helpful.
I mean, I learned something.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, damn. And also, what he said, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no, or whatever along the lines.
Yeah, his mom told him that.
Right. That's true. Dude,
for
send
sure.
some of these people messages. Ask them if they'll ship the parts. Ask them, what are they going to do? Say no or ignore you? What do you have to lose in that sense?
It's true if you really look at it like that, as long as you're not being an overbearing type person and you're just shooting your shot, then get it, in that sense. So, and it was, just cool to keep hearing him throw out these projects.
Yeah.
And this one, but they all have a plan, have parts ordered, on order, are in a process.
Yeah.
So that to me was pretty wild because he's keeping track of multiple builds.
Yeah.
At one time.
Pretty high standard builds.
Yeah.
So that's sick.
Yeah. And so seeing the car in person was cool. It was a clean car. It was really nice, and he was very particular about the things that he did with it.
Yeah.
And I think he did try to keep it as period correct as he could.
Yeah. He sounds like one of those guys that does a lot of work all himself, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yep.
As far as building the engine and
doing exactly
all that work, and even painting, right? Talking about spraying the engine bay and doing that stuff. That's pretty dope. If you can do literally everything.
Yeah. No, and it keeps it under your quality, what you would like to see, even if it takes you longer.
Right. And dude obviously takes pride in his work. And it shows.
Oh, for sure.
That car looks clean.
It's 100%. Got a big old snail under the hood, dude. It really does. I was like, holy moly, this thing's fitted.
Yeah, it sounds like a good rip.
Of him backing out of the booth at IA, and the thing is mean sounding.
Oh, yeah,
to say
I bet.
the least.
Has some big nasty cams in it.
Yeah, I wish I could have gotten a ride in some of these cars with the people that I interviewed, like Richie last week.
Right.
I would have loved to ride in that car. I love CTRs. Would have loved to have ridden in this car. It sounded just nasty. So one of the things that him and I brought up, and maybe we've talked about in the past, was just that whole Gran Turismo garage thing.
Yeah.
That really I feel like is a trending thing.
Yeah, because I think it did touch on like a lot of people because it was like our first taste of that. So for me, for instance, it was. So I think, that video game was everywhere. So it's gonna touch everyone. Yeah. It's widespread, right? And yeah,
it was the first one that used real manufacturers, real images of the cars,
right, and real sounds.
Yes.
And
for
all
sure.
that. It was next level.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the graphics, compared to nowadays, it's a little
a little lackluster.
But back then, it was you could see what these cars were like.
Oh, for sure. Without having to, let's just say, go to Japan or go to Europe or go to a dealership.
Right.
You got to feel it. And then...
Right. And read, the whole description about it if you were into that. They always had, this super long description about it. Yeah.
You're almost, programming yourself.
Right.
Through that. Yeah, it's pretty wild to think,
Yeah.
So that was just cool to have him also say that along with everybody else that we've interviewed and just talked to along the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a really cool guy, and I was definitely pumped after meeting him and kind of inspired to start trying to look for deals, and because he's kind of has that infectious personality where he gets excited about it and you're like, yeah, no, I need to look for deals too.
Yeah, for sure. And that, some of the deals that he says he's gotten,
you're
sounded pretty wild.
$7,500 for an FDRX7.
Yeah, come
USDM.
on, what is going on?
Guy either is just lucky or he's doing it right for sure.
Right. But he's been doing it a long time too.
That is
I'd
true.
imagine.
He's not new to the game.
Right.
That's for sure. And it seems like with all of his projects, he's gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
seems
cool.
like it.
I'm excited to see him next year. At IA and catch up. Like I said, he does whitewater kayaking, and I'm excited to hear how his most recent trip went. So that'll be cool. Shout out to Adam. It's at ECUADAM.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so check us out at RHDGUIS, and you can find us on YouTube as well. But for now, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.